Site Plan Review Committee together on Tuesday, March 19th. Roll call, please.
Gary Paul.
Here.
Andy Krosky.
Here.
Dennis Persick. Here. Dale Quinn.
Here.
Dan Pamprin.
Here.
Gary Rathburn.
Here.
And Mary Kodowski is excused.
Very good. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion on the action on the agenda. Any changes or?
So moved.
So,
Second.
first and a second in favor.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Minutes from the last meeting. Any corrections or additions?
Move to approve. Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Action item number 6, consider, discuss, act on site plan review, request for proposed building expansion and parking lot reconstruction for Packerland City International at 611 Hanson Road, parcel VA-173-4. Aaron Schutte, you are the man.
All right, thank you. Let me share my screen here and bring up the images of the proposed project. There you go. So there's a rendering of the proposed project, the front side of it. And then I'll just kind of run through the site plan itself. This is the existing site. The hatched areas are the proposed demolition. This white area is the existing building that will remain, or the sole portion of the existing building will remain, primarily the truck bay area to the rear. In terms of the addition, what you can see here is the new showroom, office, parts area here in front. The truck bay will extend around the existing truck bay as such, this L shape that you see here. Asphalt will be reconstructed, redone. Stormwater detention pond located right here in this location. In terms of the addition, it will generally include, as I mentioned, office space, part supplies, showcase, retail, customer area. The south areas would be the service bays. The gas canopies and pumps along Hanson Road are to remain in place. Exterior materials are to consist of metal wall panels with a minimum 3-foot masonry wainscot as indicated on the exterior elevations of sheet A2.0, which I will just run to here quickly. And here you see the elevations and the proposed exterior materials. As the subject property is zoned I2 heavy industry and the addition is less than 75% of the existing footprint of the building, they are allowed to use semi-concealed fasteners on non-street facing elevations of the building. So they are utilizing that exception, and therefore the fully concealed fasteners will be on the fully on the office part of the building towards Hanson Road, but the semi-concealed fasteners will be on the truck bay portion of the property or the building. Additionally, just kind of want to mention that any new rooftop or ground-mounted mechanical units are required to be screened and visible from parcel boundaries or street right-of-way. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, as I mentioned, screen any new rooftop, newer, larger replacement rooftop or ground-mounted mechanical units. Conventional curb pan or rolled curbing is required for any new parking or drive lane areas. That's for new areas. The reconstructed areas are not required to have curbing. The general requirement, meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon site plan review and all other applicable village ordinances. A couple notes from engineering and stormwater. From engineering, they're utilizing the existing sanitary lateral and reconnecting at the right-of-way. They are requesting 1 new water lateral and 2 storm laterals, which will impact Hanson Road. So those new lines will create impacts to Hanson Road in terms of lane closures. From stormwater, the wet pond and 2 storm manholes with sump satisfies water quality requirements. And there's an on-site storm lift station that discharges into the Hanson Road storm system. From public safety, coordinate with APS for location of any fire department connections, key boxes, and other similar equipment. From forestry, you can disregard that comment. Landscape plan has been submitted in the interim since this packet was sent out, and we received no comments from Bike and PED. I did receive notice that the owners of Packer City International are in the audience, and if agreeable to the committee, they'd like to address the committee. So if you'd so wish to open the floor, that'd be your prerogative. Any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them, as well as representatives of the ownership group are in the audience.
Okay, Aaron, the only one I know, and it comes up in this type of building in a heavy industrial zoning, the facing of the buildings with conceal fasteners and exterior, that's all appliance with the codes that we've got here?
Yes, sir.
All that.
Since that was amended a couple of years ago, this is in compliance with those requirements.
We had changed that to allow things. Okay. All right, that's the only thing that I wanted to make sure was right here. Any other questions?
So I got a couple questions. Mm-hmm. Can you go back to the site plan?
Okay.
That's elevations.
You want the site plan? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so on the bottom, there's like a building or there's something back there. It looks like it's sitting on their property, their site. See what I'm talking about? It's in the light white area.
I believe that property there is something to do with telecommunication.
This down here, kind of the grayed out area? So,
Yeah, that right there.
okay, that's not their property?
That's not. Okay.
Correct.
Then the only other question I got is the site gonna be blacktopped?
Yes,
So the whole site all the way back?
correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a first? Second. And a second, all in favor?
And I guess
Do you guys
just
wanna talk?
under discussion, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
They did request, and again, it's your prerogative to open the floor or not to
Yeah,
hear
I'll
from
make
the
a
owners.
motion when we open the floor to.
I've got a first and I'll make the second to open the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay.
Just have a seat and state your name and address for the record, please.
Address at work or at home?
Work is fine.
Bob Rankins, President of Packer City International, 611 Hanson Road. One of the things I'm concerned about is in the rear of the building, which would be truck parking and stuff, where there's requests or an ordinance for masonry work along the back of the building. It's not visible from any roadside. Just wondering if it's really necessary to have that back for a complete blacktopped parking lot. I think the ordinance had something to do with stone throw from vehicles, which most of them propel them up, not out, especially in the commercial vehicle side, maybe some off-road to do, but our speed limits are 5 and 10 miles per hour on our lot. It's not like we have very fast-moving equipment that we're working on or selling. So that was one of the things I'd like to see if the board would reconsider that requirement.
Any questions on that? You know, we did change this ordinance somewhat to fit some of these recommendations or things that you people were going through on these buildings, and I think we defined it quite well to what we want and are looking for. I don't know, it's up to the committee here if you think this could be changed or not, but I believe we've done quite a bit already to try and work with you people on these buildings.
So Aaron, can you put up an elevation now?
Okay, there you go.
So you're talking about this one way back here, eh?
Yeah.
So if I could just, for some background on that requirement, certainly, stone throw was a concern. Also, one of the major concerns from the committee at the time that when this was put in place, was just damage to, metal buildings, metal wall panels, from vehicles, equipment, so on and so forth, just bumping into the building. That was a concern that was brought up, and that was the reason for the requirement for the 3-foot masonry wainscot at that time.
So when you're coming down Ashland, can you see the back of that building? I can't, because Hockard's there, right?
To the east side of it, I don't think you can see the east side from Ashland.
You get that whole railroad.
Pretty well, with the traffic they got around there as far as equipment, you got a hard time seeing the front of the building sometimes along Ashland.
So is there any chance you're gonna add on to the back of the building at any point?
I'm sorry.
Any chance you're gonna add on to the back of the building at any point?
Yeah, we did have it structured, if that's potential. It really comes down to whether we can acquire more property. I have a difficult time working with that, with the people that own the property around us right now.
You know, I guess I wouldn't have a problem on your thought. The only reason I don't like it, you do have traffic back there. If there was no traffic back there, I think we did an exception on one particular building that had green space back there. You know, with traffic back there, there's a reason for that. And I guess I'd prefer to see it the way it is. It's my comment. It's up to you people.
Yeah, if you kind of look at it, it says future building.
Well, you know, they've always talked about future. I've been on this board, I started on this board many years ago, and I think you people came in front of us before it sometime, even looking at acquiring some land, which you never have done.
Not from lack of effort.
And it goes back a ways,
On that
quite a
corner.
bit of ways. But anyway, that's the only reason I'm making that statement.
What, so this is just me talking out loud. You guys do whatever you want. But when I got this, I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, they look like they intend on adding on to this building at one point. I mean, Gary, would you be acceptable if they put ballards along the back of that building so that it wouldn't get hit versus putting concrete brick that you're gonna tear down?
Well,
I mean,
I
that's the
just
whole
don't
reason
want
is
to
the
see
metal
the
gets
building
beat.
damaged, and that's the reason we want something stiffer back there rather than just a corrugated, or whatever paneling they have
Yeah,
back there.
exactly.
That's the only reason I'm making this statement. You know, some way of buffering the traffic from getting to it, but, I don't know. I want to stick with my thought.
Those pipe ballards work pretty good.
Give
We
me
would
building
have to
damage.
close the floor before we can make any motions.
Okay.
So-
You got anything else to say?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, motion to close the floor.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
First and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So you do have a motion on the floor, motion and a second on the floor right now, to approve with staff conditions as is.
As is.
So you do need to take action on that motion if you decide to do anything else.
Well, I could amend the motion. I see that I made it. I don't know. I mean, I'll just amend it, and if it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. But I'll amend the motion in lieu of the potential addition on the back of the building, that I would make a motion that if they want to eliminate the brick or the block or the concrete 3 feet, they would have to put ballards every 6 feet to protect the back of the building.
Okay, so who made the second on that?
Oh, man.
So you made the second on the initial motion?
Yep.
Are you amenable to the amendment?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so then also under discussion, so just keep in mind that this would be considered an exception to the approved ordinance. You do have the ability to approve exceptions to the ordinance under the code, but you have to specify exactly why the exception is being proposed for clarification so that someone else doesn't come forward and say, well, I just don't want to add masonry on the non-visible side either.
Yeah, so part of my motion was in lieu, I mean, it's actually on this site plan. Future expansion of that building. Now, had they never put that on there, I probably would have said, tough, put the brick on. But, I know, yeah, every time I build a building, I end up expanding the thing I'm tearing down.
You know, the only thing I don't like about it, if you're gonna give this one an exception, somebody else is gonna come along, you're only starting something.
Yeah, that would allow everybody to just
Yeah,
put future
just because,
expansion.
you know, that's the only part I don't like about it. You know, I thought we did a pretty good job in recreating the ordinances to satisfy everybody, and now we got another one, you know. That's the only reason one of the reasons I don't wanna do it.
And quite frankly, ballards may cost you more than the brick or block. I mean, we should call a vote and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think we should.
It's your decision.
I'm probably gonna vote against it.
Well, then I would just go with approving it as is and leave it alone.
So right now, the current motion as amended is to not require the masonry and
Well,
put bollards in place.
We didn't make a motion on it yet.
Ballards every,
So that's the current motion on the floor. As the maker of the motion, you can certainly, re-amend your motion, or you take action on the motion that's on the floor.
we sure do talk about this a lot.
Yeah, we do, you do. That's the reason of leaving it alone. You know, they're sticking a lot of money into the building right now. When is the future gonna come for the addition? And in the meantime, they could have a damaged wall there that's gonna cost them more than what they're doing right now.
But yet there is a possibility they can expand.
It's always it's
Yeah.
always that, but they're going through that right now.
I say we stick with the pipe ballards.
Yeah, I'll just keep my motion the way I had it amended.
Okay, you're gonna you're gonna approve the project as presented with staff conditions.
The motion that, if I'm correct, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but
Right.
right now, your motion is on the floor is to approve with the exception to not include the masonry, but use bollards instead,
Every 6 feet.
every 6 feet. Okay, so that would be the motion that the committee would be taking action on.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion with the exception of the brick on the wall, on the east wall. Do you have a second? Got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, I think I lean against it too, and on the basis
am
of a
too.
precedent.
Okay. We got, Kel,
I said I was opposed.
you opposed it? Okay. All right,
How many?
we got, everybody.
One eye
except-
and the rest were noes. So then I'll make a motion that we approve it as presented. with
As
staff
presented.
condition.
Got a second on the second motion?
I'll second that.
You got a second. All right, we got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Gary, just for, you'll say, yeah.
Opposed? Anybody opposed? All right, motion carried. Okay. Okay, department, reports.
All right. Last meeting, I did mention that, and Will had stopped up here and gave a little background. He has certainly hit the ground running in terms of code enforcement with the village, been very active in dealing with a number of different somewhat unique issues, and I'm sure Will can attest to that as well. So in the ground running on that, which has been fantastic. Very happy to report that Tony Jelinski will be our new plumbing inspector for the village of Ashwaubenon. He'll be starting on Monday of next week. So he'll be coming on board. He has about 20 years' experience as a master plumber. Prior to signing up with the village, he was with Turf Plumbing, doing other commercial jobs for a number of years. So we're very happy to have Tony on board here with the village. A couple project updates. The promenade, the planned start there is still April 1st. If the weather turns lousy, which it very well could based upon the forecast, their latest start date would be April 15th. And they're looking at probably a 14-month build in total for that project. I did probably see a small crane up by the stadium. We are working with Boomerang Management to replace the roofs on that building. That was not part of the original construction. So the roofs were in need of replacement, so we're working with them on that right now. And all the streets and utilities are being cut in right now at Highland Ridge, first edition. So second phase of the Highland Ridge development subdivision is underway, and they should be probably selling lots here pretty quickly.
Okay, that's it, Aaron?
That's the update, yep.
Okay, any items for next agenda, let staff know about it. I guess we're due for an adjournment then.
Make motion.
First, and a second, all in favor, aye, opposed, motion carried. Thank you for attending.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
I didn't know he was gonna ask that, but you go look at that building, there's no way you can see the back.
And that from having to jump through.
So it wasn't a
myself on
visual
few
thing,
things
so
just of the
like,
same nature,
well,
but with the
if they protect the building,